I'm going to make this video once, and I'm going to speak on these topics once, and once only, and then I'm going to put this all to bed. In this video, I'm going to talk about my knee surgery. I'm going to go into detail about the process and, frankly, the subpar, if not awful treatment that I received during this process. I'm going to show you videos straight off the hospital bed. That's what dying must feel like. Knees in pain, still drowsy. I'm going to show you conversations that I had with the nurses and the surgeons. When I do that, I can feel in this calf, in the back of the calf, it's stretching.
That's because they're all scarred up.
It's scarred up.
You need to break the scar. If it is not breaking up, there is no way you're going to get anything and everything out.
And really, I'm going to talk about why I think the NHS, that so many of us Brits know and love, frankly, is a piece of trash. And it pains me to say that. Now, this one's going to be a spicy video. So we've got the peppermint tea. I'm going to be very frank in this video. I may offend some people. That's fine. But just know that I'm going to be 100% honest. And if that means anything, let's just take that from this video. And this really is the only time I'm going to talk about this. If you're looking for a workout video, this is not the one. That will be the next one. Because I'm going to go into detail, this might be quite a dense video. There might be quite a lot to it. So if you need to, just watch it in chunks. Watch it in bits when you can. But try to watch everything I'm going to say in this video. Right. Now, for my overseas friends, you might not know what the NHS is. Those of you who do will know that it's one of the bright lights of the UK in that it's known across the world as our free health service. It's free healthcare, right? Why should someone come down with an illness? Why should someone break a leg, have an injury, and have to pay money? It's a bit of a dirty process. I'm not going to give you the healing unless you give me money first. That's what the NHS aims to remove, that dirty process. And many people I've spoken to from other countries will speak about the NHS and how it's such a great thing that you have free healthcare in the UK. I'm going to talk about, number one, why it's not such a great thing. Number two, why it's actually not even free. And so it's pretty much just a trick that is being played on the people of the UK as well as the people outside of the UK. And this is me having my first-hand experience, having gone through a significantly long process with the NHS. We're talking 4 months ago. I tore my meniscus and I tore my right side ligament in my left knee. I'm still in the brace right now. Right? So walking, I can just about walk, but my knee is still in a brace. We're healing slowly. We're getting there. But I repeat, this is 4 months on. By the way, this is not an attack on the people in the NHS themselves. I have family members who have worked or do work in the NHS. So this isn't necessarily an attack on them. But I want you to understand that we're being conditioned to believe that the NHS are all selfless angels who will heal you and tend to your issues for free. I mean, who remembers the time during COVID when it was pretty silly, to be honest, but the idea that at a certain hour of the day, we were all instructed to stand on our doorsteps because we can't interact with each other, of course. So stand on our doorsteps and clap for a minute. I think you missed it. clap for the NHS. And little things like these really annoy me because it seems as though the intention is wholesome and good, but what's actually happening there is you're being appeased. You're being paid off with something very small, and it's supposed to be, there you go, take that, take your little clap and take a sip. Take a sip of the tea. Take your little clap and bugger off. Go and you just carry on your way. This reminds me of something I saw quite recently, actually. I'm going to play a clip of an interaction between the president of Canada and some hardworking blue-collar guys.
Hey, I'm fine. Just one of
Prime Minister to the suit again.
Well, we got donuts over here if you want to thank you for your hard work.
I can bring some for my kids here.
Okay. The 25% tariffs we just brought in on Chinese steel's going to help you out.
That's going to keep my job.
Yeah,
What about the 40% taxes I'm paying, and I don't have a doctor?
The $400 million that we invested in the card means you're going to have a job. For
I think you're only here for another year. We won't see you around probably another year.
Well, that's what elections are for.
That's right. That's right.
And I look forward to everyone exercising the right to vote.
Yep.
Basic choice. We're going to invest in you and your job.
I don't believe you for a second.
Dental care? Do you know anyone who got dental care?
Yeah, I pay for it myself.
Okay.
We're like 3 years
You have
behind.
a job and coverage?
Yeah,
but we
four
got
people in my
seniors.
family.
We've got
Every
seniors.
time we go for a dental visit, it's costing me about $50 in my pocket per person.
Okay.
Why? I have a good job. You're not really doing anything for us, Justin.
Well, actually, we just invested, so 500,000 people haven't been to the dentist. Got to go to the dentist over the past few
Probably
months.
like my neighbor that doesn't go to work because she's lazy.
Well,
She
you know
just
what?
doesn't go to work. She lives the same way
Most
if I do.
Canadians try to stick up for each other, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
luck and take care of your family,
Oh,
sir.
no, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day, sir. All right, the other guys got the donuts. Excellent.
And there's a noticeable difference between two types of people. So you see one guy, happy as Larry, he takes his donut, all good. I'm calm, I'm good. And you see another guy who's more awake, and he's saying,
We're going to invest in you and your job.
I don't believe you for a second.
are these donuts going to feed my kids? Are these donuts going to sort out my kids' healthcare? I give my life for this country, working constantly, and you're not looking after us. But notice the attitude of the president. Sorry, not the president, the prime minister. Notice his attitude, and it's very much, hey, take your donut. Don't you want your donut?
We got donuts over here if you want to thank you for your hard work. All right, the other guys got the donuts. Excellent.
I think that they offered donuts to people during COVID as well for some reason. I think I remember that. But anyway, so take your donut. Don't you want your donut? Have your donut. Forget about all your troubles. All right. Anyway, so let's get started. You might have seen it in a previous video. I ran through how I got injured my knee doing some mobility training in the gym. That night, I get out of the gym. I limp out of the gym to get to the Uber to then go to the hospital. I sit in the hospital for no less than 8 hours waiting to be seen. So this is a trickle-down issue where they haven't sorted it out at the top. The kind of donut mentality of, oh, here, take your clap. They're going to clap for you. Carry on working. Take your donuts. Carry on working. Instead of kind of sorting out the issues within the system, right? And so what you have now since COVID are ridiculously long waiting lists. And I'm aware of this. So I'm sat in the waiting room for 8 hours before I can get an x-ray. I wait 2 months before I can get surgery, which I'm going to get to shortly. Now, all of this is ridiculous. It's ridiculously long. But because I'm aware of the fact that there are people who are not even receiving life-saving care, there are people dying. I looked at the stats quite recently. I've forgotten the numbers, but I just remember the numbers were insane. I'm going to put them on this screen. People are dying weekly because they can't be seen to, because they haven't sorted out the waiting lists. So with that in mind, I'm not too fussed at the fact that it took so long to get my issue sorted, right? I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm relatively healthy. But I wait 8 hours to get my x-ray. Sat there, crippling pain. My knee is locked in a bent position. I can't straighten my knee. I get seen to. The x-ray reveals nothing because it's a tissue issue. It's meniscus and ligament. That's not going to show up on an x-ray. So I'll get a pair of crutches. They put my knee in a brace. They send me home. They say they're going to get back to me with the MRI booking. An MRI scan will reveal tissue issues, so it's much more detailed. I get the MRI appointment weeks after. And so I'm at home on crutches, hopping around for weeks before I get my MRI scan. I get my MRI scan and then booked in for my surgery. This is a 2-month period. Now let's talk about the surgery process. I get told to come in for the surgery at a certain time. I believe it was about 8 a.m, bright and early, super happy, I'm going to get my knee sorted. Reminder, this is at least 3 months from the injury. This is at least 3 months of my knee being bent and I'm not able to walk on it. And as a result, because of the inactivity, I've lost a lot of muscle mass in the left leg. Takes me about 4 hours to get seen by the surgeon. Initially, what will happen is you'll go into the office, you sit down with the surgeon, and you speak with him. So he will run through what's going to happen. He tells me that we're going to go into your knee, which means keyhole surgery. They're going to go in with little cameras into the knee, look in there and operate that way. Now, there are 2 ways they could operate on the meniscus. With a bucket handle tear, they can sew it back on, or they can just cut the bit that's broken and remove it. The second option of removing the meniscus will mean a much quicker overall recovery. But you're walking around for the rest of your life with half a meniscus in there, and you're at a higher risk of arthritis later in life. The first option of repairing the meniscus will take a lot longer time for you to recover because you need to allow for the blood flow to flow into the repaired meniscus. This can take about 6 months plus. I said to the surgeon, do everything you can to repair my meniscus. I don't care if I have to sit for like 6 months. It's just time. The time's going to pass. I'd much rather have a full meniscus in my knee, and if you don't know, the meniscus is the cushioning in the knee, the shock absorber. I'd much rather have that than get this, super quick surgery done and recover quicker, but then I have to walk around with half a meniscus in my knee. And I think he knows what he did, which is why he acts the way he acts later in this video, which I'm going to get to. So I tell him this. He's like, yes, we're gonna do what we can. You're young, you're healthy, and for that reason, the blood flow should be okay to get into the meniscus after I've had a look in there. I go back outside after this meeting, wait a bit, then I'll go in for the surgery. Put me under anesthetic, I fall asleep, and then I wake up. And at this point, I'm going to show you a clip. This is literally seconds after I've woken up after the surgery.
That's what dying must feel like. Knees in pain, still drowsy.
Now, if it looks in that video as though I'm on the brink of death, that's because it feels like it. And I literally mean that, because a funny story is two very weird things happen. So the first thing is that as I'm coming to, it felt, of course I've never died before, but it felt like what dying must feel like. And what I mean is that I wish I had a video of what I looked like when this was happening, but it felt like I was struggling to exist. I was trying to exist when I was coming out of the anesthetic. I remember kind of jolting around a bit and trying to be conscious. As I open my eyes, there's a nurse next to me and she's kind of holding me down. And this is a bit dark. For those of you who have a bit of dark humor, this might be quite funny. I thought it was funny afterwards, not at the time, but I thought it was funny afterwards. But the poor nurse, she's like, yeah, can I get you some water? Can I get you some, like, a drink or something? And I'm like, wait, that's what dying must feel like. And I whispered that in her ear. Imagine you're a nurse, and then you've got a patient trying to speak. He says, come closer, and he whispers in your ear, that's what dying must feel like. But genuinely, that's how I felt. I thought that is literally what dying must feel like in that moment. It was an insane feeling. But the second really weird thing that happened, I heard a song. I think it's Avicii. And the lyrics go, wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm old, or something like that. I'm thinking, are you lot trolling me right now playing this song, Wake Me Up When It's All Over? So I was thinking, that can't be. So I called her and I was like, is that the radio? Is the radio on? She's like, what? She has to come closer because I can barely speak. I'm like, is that the radio on right now? She says, yeah. The reason why is because I wanted to understand whether they had put that song on as a funny kind of joke, which I think I actually would have appreciated if they'd done that. But it was just the radio. It was random. Like, the radio was on and it was playing that song as I woke up. I just thought that was weird. But here's where the process takes a not too great turn. So, as I've sobered up now, they've asked me if I want any food or anything, like a sandwich or something. And my mind is that I need to be in the process of healing myself at this point. Because when you think of the neglect of the health system, it's evident that there's a lot of box checking. They want to tick a box. They don't actually want to really go above and beyond to heal people. That's the truth. Now, this isn't to demonize too much because it makes sense. As things scale out, you can apply less detail to each thing, and there are so many people that are waiting for treatment, so many people that need to be treated. The quality of treatment is just going to go down. So they've offered me some food. They've offered me a sandwich, which I'm not eating a hospital sandwich. I asked them for some fruit. Bare minimum, I presume they're going to have some fruit, at least. Like, okay. And the lady goes out and she brings me like a carton of orange juice, like a pasteurized carton of orange juice, which is actually set to expire within like a couple of months. And so I'm wondering, how long has that orange juice been there? And it sounds like I'm being quite picky right now, but at this point, I've lost the trust, and now there's very much a sense of self-responsibility in terms of treating my body right, putting the right things in order to help myself heal. So they just thought, oh, he wants fruit, we'll just give him like a concentrated carton of processed sugar is what that is. So I looked at that and I just left it. I said, I'll take the water. I'm drinking the water. So now I'm in the discharge ward. After you've had the surgery, you're in a ward where you're supposed to just recover during the day, take about an hour to recover, and then you go home. And it becomes apparent to me that all they're really trying to do is get people out of there. The focus should be on making sure the patient recovers fully and feels good before they leave. But it seems not. So what's happened with the surgery? She has this bullet point list of things she needs to tell me and things she needs to do before she can kick me out of there, basically. And she tells me that they've done the meniscus removal, which is the surgery I did not want, and now the meniscus is gone and there's nothing I can do about that. And so I said to her, okay, I'd like to speak to the surgeon, please. She says okay. She goes off to call the surgeon. She comes back, she tells me that, oh, the surgeon's busy right now, wait a little while. So I'm happy to wait. Another nurse comes to me and she says, what exactly are you waiting for? Whatever the surgeon's going to tell you is what we're going to tell you. We have this bullet point list of what happened. And so essentially, why are you pushing to speak to the surgeon? He's busy right now. He's going to be some time. I said, I've got time. I'm all right. I'm not in a rush. I'll wait for him to be free. Tell him I just want 5 minutes. If I can just have 5 minutes, because I want to speak to him about what's happened. Here's literally a clip that I've sent to my family after the surgery explaining this.
That was mad. I wish I could see a video of that, to be honest, like just a playback of what I looked like. Because I remember chest was heaving and everything in that moment. So part of the reason I'm still here is because I've said I want to speak to the surgeon, and they've tried to tell me, what do you want to speak to him about? I was like, I want to discuss the op, because they've basically done an op where it's not basically not the one that I wanted. And granted, they kind of say, we'll assess it and make the best decision, but to be honest, I don't know about that. Anyway, so I just want to discuss basically like how I should manage it going forward and whatnot. And it's just, and they've said, oh, it will be in a report. Then I said, no, I want to speak to him, even if it's 5 minutes. And they've gone off to call him. Literally been about half hour now. I'm just chilling. I said, I'm not in a hurry. In a hurry. I want to speak to him. But he's like changing nurses and shit, and it's like, oh, passing on messages, bro. Just let me speak to the surgeon, and just let me speak to the surgeon. I just wanna understand why he's done it like that, and also the implication. And it's like just 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. Just discuss it with. I don't know why they can't do that. You know what I mean? It's just a bit, yeah, this whole health system in itself, bro. But yeah.
And I think this is, when you look at it, it's kind of like a symbol of a lot of where we are right now as people. Like, you look at these apps that we have, all of a sudden we have apps like, say, Deliveroo, or in other countries you've got, say, Postmates or Uber Eats. Push some buttons on your phone, food gets delivered to you. You don't see the hands that make the food. You don't interact really with the person who delivers the food. It's very much removed. And I think this is the same way they wanted to communicate with me. Why can the surgeon not take 5 minutes to speak to the patient he's just operated on at his or her request? That's really not a lot to ask. So really think about how crazy that is. Okay, this is gonna be super deep right now, but communication is literally the only reason why humans are the apex predators of the world. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Yes, of course, we managed to develop bigger brains, and therefore we're able to fashion weapons, and so we don't have to say kill a cow with our bare hands in order to get the nutrients we need, like say a lion does. A lion doesn't need to use tools to eat. Animals don't need tools to eat, but humans have done that. And I used to think that it was the tools that made humans the apex, or made humans essentially the most developed species on the planet, with all these buildings and all of the infrastructure that we have to shelter us. Like, think about the idea that during the winter, if you are to sleep outside, you would die. That should tell you that we're not supposed to be here. Humans aren't supposed to exist here. In the same way you have certain animals that only exist in certain parts of the world. A polar bear only exists in, say, the Arctic and would not survive elsewhere. We are like that. But we're so advanced that we've got the tech, the infrastructure to counteract the forces of nature that would eliminate us where we are. So I used to think it was the tools, but it's not the tools. What humans really have above all is communication, because we communicate among ourselves to put plans together. We communicate among ourselves to work together. That is communication on the same level, i.e. at the same time of existence, right? you might say that, okay, lions don't talk, or birds don't talk to each other, but they do communicate as well, Glenn. What are you talking about? The reason why communication makes humans superior to all is because we don't just communicate on the same level. We communicate depth-wise. So there's two dimensions to it. And when I say depth-wise, I'm not talking about a super deep conversation. I'm talking about the fact that when you read a book, you're communicating with a guy who lived maybe 100 years ago. Let's say you were to read a book by, I don't know, Socrates from ancient Greece. That's Socrates speaking to you through the book. That's what we have over every other animal. We can communicate across time. And so with that, there are ancient forms of technology that we've built upon over time to get to what we have now, with the buildings we have, with computers that we have. When computers were first made, it was just electric volts, on switches and off switches, because that's all they had. And so we couldn't have this now if they didn't do that at their level for us to build on, right? Fundamentally, a computer is just on and off switches, is just ones and zeros. But it's only because we've been able to communicate over time. Communicate as in, you had the base level computer, then you had a computer that was a bit more advanced, then you had one that was more advanced, and so on and so on. And now you've got a lovely MacBook Air, which is, I can literally just walk around with this, super lightweight, and is more powerful than the most expensive computer that was out there even 100 years ago. So when you read a book from 100 years ago, when you walk in shoes, when you get in your cars, when you cook, all of this technology started out very rudimentary and has been built upon. And the pioneers of technology gave us the base layer, and they said, here you are, take this, next generation. And they've built on it. And then that generation has said, look at this, what we've built on. Next generation, take that, see what you can do with that, see what you can do with that, see what you can do with that. And now we're left with modern society. That is why humans are the apex predators. And that brings me back to the main point. And when I say apex predator, the idea is not just so much like bad, like predator, like killing prey. The idea is just that we can exist wherever. We're not restricted. We can exist all over the world because we have the technology to shield us from nature. There's no other animal that has that. You either exist in your climate or you die in the climate where you're not supposed to be. And so the point is that the more we remove communication from humanity, the more we lose what makes us great. And so whether it's chatting with an Uber driver or just speaking with your mates every now and again, hold on to communication, because there's so much going on right now that is trying to pull us away from communicating with each other. And so the point is not so much that you just tell me this, and this happened. The point is that, firstly, I spoke to the surgeon about the ideal surgery to do. He quite flippantly said, yeah, we'll do what we can. And he's done what I feared was the surgery I did not want him to do. And there's no going back at this point. So I want to discuss this with him. And as well as that, this guy has gone into my knee. He's looked into my knee. I want to know what he saw. I want to know if there are any tidbits he needs to share with me about how I'm going to heal. And the nurse respectfully does not have the expertise level that the surgeon has. So the idea that the surgeon is just going to tell you what we're going to tell you, I was not hearing that. I was not going to have that. And later, as I suspected, what it was that they just wanted to get people out. I'm there sort of taking in the environment and the discussions, and it's pretty much people going to other nurses and asking, can I have my break now? Oh yeah, Timmy's gone and had his break, you can have yours after him. And then someone else will come and ask for a break. That was essentially it. People just wanted to do their work and then just go on their break, clock in and then clock out. Now, obviously, you've got to work and have breaks. But I think there are certain lines of work where it's not enough just to have the qualifications, the academic qualifications. I think there are certain lines of work where you should have a personality test beforehand. You should have a compassion test. You need a certain level of compassion to do certain things, to do certain jobs. I think nursing is one of them. I think first and foremost, you have to be the type of person that doesn't just want to clock in, clock out. You genuinely care for people, and people have different personality types. Not everyone is like that. For this reason, and I understand like staffing, you need staff members. You know, you can't really zero in on the ideal nurse all the time. But I think this is really a crucial aspect of their job, and the fact that the fact that they just want to get people out of there when you've got people's health in these people's hands, right? The nurse wanted me to just look at these bullet points and just go away, just essentially get out of my sight. Anyway, this older guy gets wheeled in, and one of the nurses, kind of under her breath, goes, "Oh, not another one. I want to go home." And then she turns to the guy and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And so I hear this and I'm thinking, you fuckers talking about, oh, you know, the surgeon, he's going to tell you, he's told us what we need to tell you. You just wanted me to shoo and get out of there. That's all you wanted. So you could free up the ward. Someone else comes in, you shoo them out. Tick box, tick box, tick box. Go take your break, tick box, go home. Eventually, after about 3 hours, the surgeon does come down. And I know it's probably quite annoying for him to have come down. Here's a clip of that discussion.
Start with the hand on, or I should just...
Stand on to see if that muscle is contracting or not, nothing more.
Okay.
Okay? And
so when I do that, I can feel in this calf, in the back of the calf, is stretching.
that's because they're all scarred up.
It's scarred
You
up.
need to break the scar. If it is not breaking up, there is no way you're going to get anything and everything out.
Yeah.
It's been like that. After the injury, it's scarred up in that position. So I straightened it, but that's under anesthesia. So it will go back to its original position.
Yeah.
Unless you do it, it won't come back.
So I'm using these muscles to engage.
And also, take this one off later on when you're comfortable. Start going down completely. You can press it down.
Okay.
That's why it is all held in that position. You need to work on it to get it back. There's no way anybody can help you without getting back.
You can see the knee is still, after the surgery, for days after. In fact, even to this point, I can't fully flex and extend my knee. And the injury happened on May 28th. The date today is October the 4th. October the 4th, so still in the healing process. I'm actually waiting on another appointment to have this checked, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be forced essentially to, as a next step, look into private healthcare. And I think what I'm going to have to do is get another scan on the knee afterwards. I want to see what the state of my knee is now after they've worked on it, and get advice from another source, because I just don't trust the NHS. I'm going to be honest now. Get advice from another source on how to deal with it now, the type of physio work that I need to do. I was given a physio program on a piece of paper, and it's like, after the surgery, go home, do this a couple of times a day. And it's all this kind of like flippant kind of service. And really that brings me to the main point, which is the reason we're told you've got to be grateful for the NHS is it's free. They're such selfless Mother Teresa's, helping you for free. They're helping you for free. Well, they're not. It's not free. Anyway, you know, it's not free. We are paying for it. It's taxpayer funded. So this idea that the NHS is free is a bunch of trash. It's not free. It's not free. We need to remember that. What's happening is that we are paying our taxes. Our government is not handling our taxpayer funds properly, and as such, the NHS is in tatters at the moment. So it's not free. We're paying for it. So if it's not free and the service is bad, why are we putting up with it? In a way, it's a shame, because it's like the message is that The message, the real message, is that we're not actually doing this thing out of selflessness to care for you. We're just doing it as a signal of how good we are. It's just a signal. But when you go under the surface and look at what it really is, it's actually not what it seems from the outside. This is my first real experience with the health service. I've been lucky enough my whole life to not have had any issues where I've had to go into a hospital and have a surgery of this sort. So that's pretty much the bottom line. And I made this video because it might shed some light for people who have not had this experience. It will answer a lot of the questions that I've had in the comments section. But really at this point, it's been a negative experience. But I wanted to put this out because it might help someone else. But it's done now. Now, again, with the attitude of self-responsibility, it's about working on how to make the best of the situation going forward, working on healing in the best way. And that's it. It's a sad state of affairs that this is where we're at. So if you made it all the way through, let me know what you thought of it. If you've had a similar experience or any experience at all with the health service. And I actually want to know about health services outside of the UK. I know at least in the US there isn't free healthcare, if I've got that correctly. And so what is the level of care like out there? These are things I'm very curious about now, having gone through this process. So I appreciate you taking the time. And we are going to be back with the training videos, of course, after this. Get out, man. What do you want? We're going to be back with the workout videos after this. So I'm going to stay at it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to stay raging. And that's that. Until then, all the best with your training or your healing or your recovering or whatever you're doing, and stay raging.